Next on the show, we're focusing on a major new housing initiative for Lisdoonvarna that could shape the future of the town. Clare County Council's unveiled plans for 12 service sites under the Croí Cónaithe Ready to build scheme, aimed at first-time buyers, families and older residents who want to build and live in the community. To talk to us about the Croí Cónaithe pilot schemes in both Lisdoonvarna and Feakle and what it means on the ground, I'm joined in studio now by Adrian Headd, Clare County Council's Senior Engineer for Housing Delivery, Infrastructure Provision and Land Activation Directorate. Quite a lot of words in that, Adrian. I'm glad I got through it. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks very much for coming in. So, look, maybe you can start off by just telling us a little bit more about the plans for the Ruska in Lisdoonvarna. So 12 service sites. Tell us more and when people can expect work to begin, if it hasn't already, and when you hope it's all for it all to be completed.
Yeah, good morning and thanks for having me on. Look, I suppose there's two schemes actually in progress here. Clare County Council are progressing with two number service site schemes, one in Lisdoonvarna and one in Feakle. This is the first development or the new initiative of its kind for Clare County Council under the Ready to Build Service Sites Croí Cónaithe Towns Fund. The scheme provides for private development and home ownership within both settlements. The Lisdoonvarna scheme includes for 15 service sites and the Feakle scheme includes for 10 service sites. The scheme provides for an opportunity to further develop towns and villages, which is a key priority for Clare County Council in terms of rural development and economic growth. And I suppose just to say that there is a capacity to further expand both schemes subject to statutory consents if the demand exists. So depending on the success of the two schemes, I suppose it's Clare County Council's intent to further progress with these types of schemes across the county.
OK, we'll bring in Joe Garrihy, the Lisdoonvarna Fine Gael Councillor, who joins us as well. And thanks very much for being with us, Joe. This Croí Cónaithe Service Sites project has been described as a major opportunity for Lisdoonvarna. Why is it so important for the town right now? What impact could that number of new family homes have on the life and vitality of the area?
Good morning, Ellen, and hi, Adrian. I look at this as I think this scheme, in a broad sense, as Adrian outlined there, I believe certainly it has transformative potential for life in rural areas and towns and villages around the country, not just Lisdoonvarna. And we have the opportunity in Clare to be the leaders in this, and credit to our Chief Executive, Gordon Daly, and Adrian and his team there for taking this on. Look, we all know that there's a massive housing need and situation out there. If you look simply at the derelict schemes that we have in Clare County Council, with 478 applications approved over the last number of years. It's a scheme that I drove very strongly at the beginning as well, and in this time in LEA we've 93. So look, I think we can take it as a given that there's a need and a demand and a desire to live in rural areas, and we're working on investment in amenities and facilities. So specifically, I guess, to Lisdoonvarna, it has services. It is a town that has fantastic amenities, schools, childcare, accessibility with TII and local link, close to other areas then like the Burn and Doolan. So we all know that when you're picking a home, especially in this is a really exciting opportunity, because I think, and this is why we've drove it so hard over the last number of years, it's filling that gap. Adrian and his team are working really hard to provide social housing. Some people are fortunate enough to have sites and on their own land that maybe can get planning. Others have looked at the vacant and derelict as an option. This is a really unique option where, imagine the excitement of building your own home on a quarter-acre site where you can walk to all those amenities and your connectivity and your opportunities with remote working for local community of Lisdoonvarna, Doolan, the parish area around North Clare.
Yeah, so it could be really transformative. And Adrian, I know the housing activation has been described as an enabler for town regeneration. Can you explain what that means in real terms for the listeners?
Yeah, I suppose look at going back to what Gordon Daly, our Chief Executive, has said in the past, and been with yourselves. Look at the key priority for us is rural and economic growth in towns and villages. Obviously with the introduction of additional housing in these areas, that brings that growth, and as well as that, I suppose it's important to point out that there is a need out there for private housing, and it's a space that Clare County Council wants to assist in, and as Councillor Garrihy has said, this is an opportunity to provide for that. in that when you take it that the proposal here is to provide for actual service sites, at a discount within these settlements in proximity to services, and it brings with it additional housing within these settlements also.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm thinking of the kind of chicken and egg situation of whether building more houses ensures that more facilities and services and amenities come to a locality, or do you need those in place to convince or attract people to an area? As you touched on, Lisdoonvarna has the services, but I'm thinking about if a project like this is in somewhere elsewhere in the county. Earlier in the week we were talking about fears over the centralisation of GP services in the likes of Newmarket and Fergus and Kilrush, and how important you think the project like this would be in areas like that, where maybe having more houses would encourage more people to move there, and then that might see having a GP service stay in an area stand a better chance of doing so.
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. I think the pilot nature of this scheme in Lisdoonvarna and One and Feakle and you need to learn, and you need to measure, and you need to engage, and that's what I guess next week is also about. The team have been engaging heavily with local community and neighbours of this scheme for the last 6 to 8 months and longer. But to get to your point, Lisdoonvarna again has been fortunate to have the first GP fellowship, which is an initiative to look at rural GPs and trying to bring them to areas. So just to speak to that one specifically, and in one sense, Lisdoonvarna again is quite fortunate that an enormous amount of amenities and facilities, including one of the best childcare centres in the country, I would say, run by a fantastic team that's due for expansion. A secondary school site has been identified by the department to build in the future, and our commitment, and Adrian and the team and Chief Executive in Clare County Council, is to continue investing. You've seen the investments we've made around Lahinch and Estein and other towns and villages. If you don't have people living in places, the justification to have services or to have resources like GP. So we're all familiar with the term in the past of no doctor, no village. Well, it is equally true that no village, no doctor. So bringing people, absolutely, as it did in the past, to Lisdoonvarna and to other towns and villages around the country. When people come, they bring new ideas, they bring new vibrancy. We're looking at, can we roll this out? Can we look at this to our diaspora and people who have gone away from areas and might want to return to Ireland or return to North Clare, or return to the area? Housing is one of the first things that you're going to talk about along with those amenities, but it isn't a one item. You do need all of these things. And thankfully in the last number of years we've seen a lot of people with lifestyle choices and the capacity to work remotely for some parts of the week to come to live in North Clare and enjoy the quality of life like in the morning or in the evening. You can be surfing or at lunchtime in Lahinch. You can go to Doolin, you can come to Lisdoonvarna, you can walk around the park, you can go to the Burn. And we've seen the vibrancy that has brought into North Clare, and it's the same in other areas of the county. But if you don't have accommodation, if you don't have housing for them, then that all is for naught and people can't stay. So that is why I certainly see, in working with Deputy Joe Coney and Kieran O'Donnell and the Minister previously and John Cummins, the commitment is there. It is a new culture. It is something new. We need people to actually to buy into it, to look at it, to see does it suit them, to put in the expression of interest into the council and to their local reps, to back up our case to expand this and to make it as impactful, I think, as most of us agree that it has the potential to be. Okay,
and in terms of, I guess, engagement levels, Adrian, there is the public information evening next Wednesday, the 18th, in the Pavilion Community Centre. What's planned for that?
Yeah, and I suppose just to touch on the last point, just to note that expression of interest campaigns have been held to date separately for both Feakle and Lisdoonvarna, and we have received high levels of interest in relation to the campaign in general. Sorry, to go back to your point, there is the public consultation event scheduled on the 18th in the Pavilion Community Centre in Lisdoonvarna from 6 to 8 p.m. We welcome everyone to attend. It's an opportunity for people to come in to look at the scheme in the context of the Part 8 planning application that's proposed, but also in general in the context of those people that might be interested in acquiring one of these sites. So look, the team will be there. They will be open for discussion. Submissions can be made. We're there to explain what the scheme consists of. And thereafter then, when the non-statutory, in tandem, we will be having a Your Say portal ran online through Clare County Council in relation to people being able to view the scheme as well and make their submissions online. Thereafter then, based on the submissions we receive, we will have the opportunity to finalise the design and, all going well, submit the Part 8 application in February 2026.
Okay, so next Wednesday the 18th at the Pavilion Community Centre in Lisdoonvarna from 6 and 8 p.m. We do have to leave it there, but Adrian Headd, thank you very much for being with us, and the Lisdoonvarna Fine Gael Councillor Joe Garrihy. Joe, thanks as always for being with us as well on Morning Focus.